Love yourself so much that you're willing to let go of past pain. Because what neuroscience says is this, and the yogis say it too, if I am focusing on past pain, I am creating neural structures that create more pain for myself in the present and in the future. As soon as I become aware that past pain is here, I dedicate myself to letting go of identifying with the past pain and to connecting with what is healing. As soon as I shift and I start focusing on what is healing, I am creating neural structures that create healing now, in my present, and in my future as well. So what this tells you, and the yogis have always said this, is it is my ability to choose.
Well, happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Our truth, love, and justice topic today is how to navigate fear, uncertainty, and discomfort. So I will just start with the first question. It's, where does fear, uncertainty, and discomfort come from? Which I also had a lot of fun meditating on because I got to see for my own self some of what I'm going to share. So fear, uncertainty, and discomfort is an interplay that happens between your body, there's a physiological response, your brain, and your nervous system. And those feelings arise anytime we feel threatened, anytime we feel that there is a chance that we will be harmed. In every person's brain, there's an area called the amygdala. And the amygdala, I read this years ago, it just stuck with me. You can liken the amygdala to an alarm going off. So anytime you feel threatened, an alarm, a siren goes off in your brain. And when that siren goes off, it sends out little firemen. So all of these chemicals flood your body. And instead of going to put out the fire, the firemen, the chemicals, are really just screaming, fire, fire. And so it puts us into what scientists sometimes calls the lizard brain, but the small area at the back of your head where you go into fight, flight, freeze, and now also they have fawn. So you're in a chronic state of stress. You're afraid. Quiet as it's kept, a lot of humans are living from the reptile brain every day. When you're at work, when you're with your family, when you're in your car, when you're in your workplace. And then we normalize that level of fear and say, this is my life. So that's what science says about fear. I was meditating on a few stories. One I'm going to share, both of them I will share, that kind of talk about the yogic perspective of fear. So again, fear is an inborn quality that every human possesses. We have it to keep us safe. Early man needed fear. If he was not afraid of the wild animals, if he did not learn how to navigate the landscape, we would not be sitting here in these chairs. Homo sapiens would not have made it, but we did make it. And so it's just a question of learning how to navigate when that alarm rings, when it goes off. And basically the yogic teachings and the yogic practices say that you can quiet the decibel of sound, the decibel of that alarm, to such the point that there is no alarm. You understand what is happening and you can regulate your nervous system to not be impacted in that way. The story that I thought about as I was meditating on this is related to the Buddha, but first I want to share this because it came to me. I am afraid of heights. So I have no trauma around heights. I've never experienced anything that would make me afraid of heights. I didn't notice it until I got really high one day and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm terrified. And I have that fear to this day. But I love to do things that require me to go pretty high. So I've learned to work with that. I'll give you one example. I love roller coasters. There's a part of going up the roller coaster where you are very slowly ascending. And it's like, I notice things start to happen, again, almost without thought. It's totally reactive. My body is just, I notice my heart start racing. My breath becomes a lot more shallow. I'm white knuckle gripping the handlebar. And then I notice my thoughts. My thoughts are like, why did I do this? Every time I wonder, why did I do this? If this falls, I'm gonna die. And that will be very sad for my wife and child. I don't want to die, Lord. Not here, not on this roller coaster. So the mind goes. Then I get at the top of the roller coaster. I can see everything. And I'm like, this was a really bad idea. And then the roller coaster goes. I have the best time of my life. The best time. It's amazing. And so I share that to say, there is a physiological and a psychological response that happens when we have fear. That is without our control. It's primal. Just because we have fear, just because we are uncomfortable, just because we might be uncertain, I just need to see what that other word was, it doesn't mean that we cannot move forward. It doesn't mean that we can't work with the thoughts. It doesn't mean that we can't work with the feeling that naturally comes up. Now, when I get on a roller coaster, I kind of know what's happening, right? This is gonna happen. It's okay. Yeah, you've been up this high before. You've made it. It's only gonna take a few more seconds. So in that way, like, I'm soothing my way forward. And now this is a perfect segue to the story that I wanted to share. So it's the story from the Buddha in Mara. So if we're familiar with the Buddha in Mara, Mara is the energy of not forward motion. Mara is the energy of choosing to stay rooted in fear, and choosing to stay rooted in discomfort, and choosing to stay rooted in uncertainty. And he did not want the Buddha to realize truth. The story goes that after the Buddha had realized truth, fully illumined, Mara still showed up. Keep that in mind. He's fully illumined. The Buddha might be walking down to the river and he can see Mara just from across the bank, just looking at him. The Buddha might be going to drink some water, like right outside of his home, and Mara is just standing there. One day, the story goes, Mara appears at Buddha's home, and Buddha's student is afraid. He says, "Teacher, Mara is here. What should we do?" And the Buddha says, "Let him in." So he welcomes Mara in, he has him sit down, he makes him a cup of tea, and he says, "Mara, I see you." Henceforth, every single time the Buddha saw Mara, it was, "Mara, I see you." No reactivity, no response, no pushing away, so no aversion, just, "I recognize you." And eventually Mara, he still showed up, but it was like less and less. He could not trigger the Buddha. And so that's the invitation to each of us when we feel fear, uncertainty, discomfort. I see you. I'm on that roller coaster. I see you, fear. I recognize you. Have a cup of tea, because we're about to have the best time of our lives as soon as we get up over this hill. So that's what we're invited to do. As I was meditating on the story, the last thing is I remembered a poem from the poet, the brilliant poet Rumi. And this poem is called The Guest House. And this is what Rumi says. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So whatever shows up, love it, welcome it, offer it into the heart. And what we learn is that the heart welcomes everything. It is totally expansive. So love, 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 love. Love you, fear. Love you, uncertainty. Love you, discomfort. And then that way we actually move beyond them.
Thank you. So one of the things that the Upanishads say is that as long as we feel separate from the divine, fear will be present. And so for each of us, if we just have that as an indicator, and Acharya Kashi gave us a bunch of indicators, so I'm just sharing indicators as well. But if fear is present, that's an indicator that I'm allowing myself to feel separate from the divine. And that's an indicator that I'm allowing myself to energize illusion. So Mara also represents illusion. And so fear, Swami Nityananda would say, it's the great pretender. And so basically it only has power over me if I give it power over me. And so I'll give you an example. Love everything that you said. And then also there's a healthy fear response. So like I notice myself, I walk every morning, just sometimes it's a very quick little walk in my neighborhood. I have to cross the street. And sometimes if there's a car coming and the car turns out to be coming faster than I knew, I need an adrenaline response. Like I need my body to just give me this burst of energy. And so I just kind of scurry across the street. And then I notice my body downregulates. And so the adrenaline goes away, and I just kind of like smooth back into this really nice, relaxed walking pace. And so that's a practice for each of us to be aware of. It's a gift that our body gives us, that we're able to respond. And so this is also just not only walking across the street, but if your child needs help in the middle of the night, or your friend or your partner or your parent needs help in the middle of the night, it's really healthy and amazing. It's a gift that our nervous system has this ability to upregulate, and our adrenaline says, I'm there. What do you need? I'm there. So for us to practice self-awareness, to thank your nervous system, that's an incredible gift. But also to have self-awareness, like I would have a need to practice calming and self-regulating practices if I ran across the street and my nervous system did not automatically calm back down. And so meditation helps you gain direct connection with your nervous system. And it helps you increase your ability to self-regulate emotions. It helps you with fear. It helps you with discomfort. It helps you with reactivity. It helps you with anxiety. And so I'll just say, the yogis have always said this, always. And neuroscience just really recently has been able to map in the brain what the yogis have said for thousands of years. And I came across a neuroscientist who said neuroscience is basically where medicine was 300 years ago when medicine discovered the microscope. Okay, so neuroscience is at the very beginning of what it's going to be able to learn about the brain and the nervous system in relation to meditation. But when you meditate, the size of your amygdala decreases. This is measurable. You can map. The fear-based part of your brain decreases in size. It also decreases in reactivity. And so if you can just think of, if you have an alarm system constantly going off, meditation quiets the alarm system. And it gives you connection to peace. It gives you connection to truth. It gives you connection to reality. I'll share with you as well later, there are other benefits that meditation has on your brain and on your nervous system and on your ability to self-regulate. But I think very practically, if you would like to transform your relationship to fear, love yourself so much that you're willing to let go of past pain. Because what neuroscience says is this, and the yogis say it too, if I am focusing on past pain, I am creating neural structures that create more pain for myself in the present and in the future. As soon as I become aware that past pain is here, I dedicate myself to letting go of identifying with the past pain and to connecting with what is healing. As soon as I shift and I start focusing on what is healing, I am creating neural structures that create healing now, in my present, and in my future as well. So what this tells you, and the yogis have always said this, is it is my ability to choose. I actually can create new pathways in my brain and in my nervous system, and neuroscience bears this out. So each of us has, as soon as we know this, a self-obligation. I'm willing to let go of carrying past pain. I want to be really clear. It's not that you agree with if there was injustice, if there was abuse. It's not that you agree with that. It's not that you agree with the human thinking or behavior or the structures that created the pain. You have clarity about the problems. You just say, I'm going to keep the wisdom and I'm going to focus on what's healing because I love my brain and my nervous system so much that I want to live in joy. I want to live in peace. I want to live in love. I want to live in freedom. And every time you make that choice for yourself, I'll just say this as well, you also make it possible collectively for other humans to do the same thing, to basically stand and look at fear, to stand and look at past pain. And this is the same thing you were talking about, that the Buddha was talking about. I see you, and I'm not afraid. My heart is so big that I just invite all of my experiences into my heart. There's no struggle. There's no blaming myself because I have this feeling of fear. There's no conflict within myself. There is just love. There is just wisdom. There is just healing. And so these are really practical things. And I will also just say it does not take a huge amount of time. So one study, 12 minutes a day of meditation. If you can't meditate, 12 minutes a day of chanting the Gayatri mantra. It has a beneficial effect on your brain. Another study, 20 minutes a day of meditation heals your brain from the fear-based experiences that any human has had. And so I want to be really clear about that as well. Every human on the planet has had these experiences of pain, these experiences of trauma, these things that were not fair, these things that were not just. And it's not that you're pushing that down or denying it. You're just saying, I see you. And the love and the awareness that sees what is not afraid. It is never afraid. It has never been afraid. It never will be afraid. And so that connects us step by step, moment by moment, with the ability to self-transform and to create new pathways for ourselves, but also we heal generational pathways for our kids so that we do not pass on to our kids the pain that was unintentionally, unconsciously passed on to us. And then the generations benefit. So the yogis say 7 generations into the future, 7 generations back, they benefit because we really are healing. And ancestrally, we're healing as well every time we meditate. Welcome. I'm Swami Nityananda. If you are enjoying this content, please like, share, and subscribe. Please also subscribe to our free Substack newsletter available at the link below this video. Thank you for helping joy travel.
Thank you, Swami. I will add to what Swami shared. So not only does meditation minimize the amygdala, but it increases the areas of the brain associated with compassion, associated with love, associated with calm. And it truly is a scientific method to reducing the chronic stress response in the body. And then the other thing that I would add, which we're kind of already talking about the next question, how do yoga philosophy and meditation help if I am feeling fear? To be mindful that fear itself is about self-preservation. If we feel fear, that means that the body has kicked into that self-preservation response. It also means that we are attached to the concept, to the idea of the limit itself. And it's not just a roller coaster that can kick in that response. Politics can kick in that response for people. A change in employment can kick in that response for people. Something going on with your kid can kick in that response for people. So it's also about having awareness of the spaces in my life where I'm allowing that response to be triggered. Because again, it's all about reduction of harm, of self-harm. We cling to this idea that I can be terminated, decimated, and we are attached to that limit itself. So it is helpful if we know where those triggers are. In meditation, again, Swami and I kind of started talking about this, the yoga philosophy and meditation, if we are feeling fear, I have two scriptures here that I'll read first. This one is from the Yoga Sutras. Union is retraining the thought streams natural to the mind. then the seer dwells in his own nature. And in this version of the Yoga Sutras, union is translated from the word yud, which is union. So yoga itself is about stilling those thought patterns that have us react to outside stimuli, and that causes a fear in us, because that's all that is actually happening. So it helps to calm those so that the mind is at peace and it's still and it's not reactive to outside stimuli. And then this is from the Bhagavad Gita. A lamp sheltered from the wind, which does not flicker. To this is compared the true man of yoga, whose mind has vanished in the self. When his mind has become serene by the practice of meditation, he sees the self through the self and rests in the self, rejoicing. So again, the practice of meditation puts us into contact with reality. If we are in contact with reality, we see that which is true through the illusions that happen in space and time. And in that way, we are not triggered by them. And so that self-preservation response that is natural to humans, it doesn't have to trigger, because, all of this is pure consciousness. All of this is love. This is indeed play. This is Leela. And so meditation helps us to recognize what is true. And then finally, I was meditating on the story of Daniel in the lion's den, because that's a terrifying, uncomfortable situation where there's a lot of uncertainty, right? So in that story, Daniel is, the Bible says, an upright man. He is prayerful. He is in communication with God. And at the time, there's political change. There are the winds of political change. And King Darius at the time says, no more praying to your God, Jews. You need to pray to the king of Persia instead. And Daniel notices what's happening with politics, but Daniel keeps doing what Daniel does. He remains steadfast. He prays to God. He stays true in his heart to what is true, what is real. And it gets back to King Darius. And King Darius is like, I don't want to have to kill this man, but he's making a fool of me. So he sends his minions to fetch Daniel, and they throw him in a lion's den. And the point was for him to be ripped to shreds. But Daniel is kind of indifferent. Maybe indifferent isn't the right word, but he's at peace. Whatever's happening, he's at peace. I'm at peace in my home. I'm at peace in the lion's den. And what happens is that the angels, the story says, prevents the lions from using their jaws. So they're unable to attack him at all. And what that story is making visible is that when we are so steady in truth, when we are connected to that which is real, nothing can get us in its grip. We cannot be caught in the lion's grip of fear, of discomfort, of uncertainty. We cannot be moved from our peace. If we are in a situation that could evoke fear, I'm at peace. I know who's in control here. I understand that pure consciousness is sovereign. And so that is what Yogananda called portable peace. Wherever you go, so too does peace. Wherever you go, so too does love. Wherever you go, so too does understanding. And that's what we're invited to do. Be portable peace machines. Carry it with you and share it widely wherever you find yourself.
I love it. I looked up something that Swami Nityananda says about fear, and it's what you were saying as well, but his phrasing is really lovely. He says, fear shuts out love, peace, knowing the truth, establishing our conscious connection with that all-loving, all-healing, ever-present, resourceful source. And so just to know that if fear is present, that could be blocking your awareness that love is here, peace is here, the truth is here, my connection with the all-loving, all-healing, ever-present, resourceful source is here. And what he says is you can rise above fear by rising above sense consciousness, body consciousness. And so just to ask yourself, like, am I identifying myself with this body? And to be really honest. And then to say, what happens instead if I identify with the light within me? And that's what Daniel was doing. Daniel was identifying with the light within him. And then no matter where he was in this energy of courage. And he was in this energy of clarity. He was in this energy of faith. And so for each of us, it's inner strength that we connect with when we connect with what is true. And so again, Swami Nityananda says, you can rise above fear by rising above sense consciousness, body consciousness, dualism, ego consciousness. Fear operates only within duality, within self-limited states of consciousness. And so if you experience fear, use it as an identifier, just a signal, a neutral signal. Okay, that means I'm operating on the level of duality. And so I can come back to the heart and I can connect with what is deeper than duality. I can connect with what is deeper than fear. And then I'll always be able to navigate with wisdom, with respect, with courage, with strength, with kindness, with calm in relation to things in time and space. The story of Daniel in the lion's den makes it clear humans experience in time and space what seems humanly impossible for us to go through. And so just full love and respect and compassion and caring for every human, because every one of us, we have gone through things that seem humanly impossible for us to go through. And here we are, we're still here. But for us to love ourselves so much that we let go of the stress and the strain and the Swami Nityananda, I quoted him last week, that talk would be on Substack for paid subscribers. He says, like, when we're focusing on misery, when we're focusing on fear, we're actually creating toxins in our body. And that then those toxins become visible in time and space. It's kind of like, sorry to use this word, but we can't help it. We're spewing them a little bit if we're activating them within ourselves. And to love ourselves so much that we just say, I choose, it stops with me. I am not going to pass on any pain to any human. It stops with me. I am not going to pass on any harm, any violence, any judgment to any human. I am not going to pass on any resentment. I am going to be so steady in the energy of love and respect and courage and light that that alone shares through me. And by grace, it becomes so. As every one of us makes this choice, and our conversations with our family, they will transform. Our conversations inwardly with ourselves, our inner self-talk, it will transform. Our relationships with life, with the world, with our work, with the way we are here, the way we are being of service, the way we are interacting with our beautiful planet, they will transform as well. And so there's this incredible healing energy generated from the heart of each of us when we are willing to not be governed by fear. And so I would also just say that for every human, love yourself so much that you decide, henceforth, forevermore, I shall not be governed by fear. Only love has primacy over me. Only light presides over my consciousness. And it will be so. And it transforms you, and it transforms your life, and it transforms your world as well.
Swami Nityananda, y'all. That was awesome, Swami. All right, our next one. How do I stay grounded when I don't know what happens next? I think we kind of touched on this a little bit. I have two stories. One is a story from the Hindu tradition. Maybe you've heard it before. It's of a Swami who is walking through the woods, and while he's walking through the woods, he notices that a tiger is stalking him. So he walks a little, and then the tiger stops. He continues to walk, and the tiger stops again. And so he just sits and meditates. And the tiger comes up and sniffs a little bit, and eventually he leaves. And I love that story, because that's what we do. when we feel that we are being stalked by trauma or fear or uncertainty or discomfort, you just connect with stillness. That's what keeps us grounded. When we are rooted in reality, we're rooted in reality. That's how it works, and that travels with us wherever we are. In the story, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he's terrified and uncomfortable with the thought of having to kill his own kin. And Krishna says, here's truth, here's reality. In the midst of a battle, on the battlefield of human experience, connect with reality. That is what the Bhagavad Gita is inviting us to do. That's how we stay grounded. And so it's never that there will never be peace on earth in the way that you might imagine there will be peace on earth. This is a place where things change, things rise and things fall. Even the mountains will one day be rubble. That's how this works. The peace comes from in here. When you have internal peace, you have created what? Peace on earth. Are you not peace? Are you not on earth? That is what peace on earth is. If you connect with that energy of groundedness in you, then you are grounded wherever you find yourself. And so that is the work for each of us. And it's a practice. It's a practice of a lifetime. If we go back to the story of the Buddha, a fully illumined being, the wise of the wisest. Even Mara showed up to Buddha, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. Mara was always lurking. So what that is telling us is that we always get to choose. We always get to choose. In this life, we are making a choice between that which is real and that which is unreal. That which is love or that which is fear. So let us choose love. Let us choose what is real. And the wonderful thing about practice is the more you practice it, the steadier you become in the practice of it. And so as I practice choosing love, over time it just becomes sort of second nature to me. I'm in the habit of choosing love because we can habituate ourselves to be fearful. That's what it means to be in the chronic stress response. I have habituated myself to live in my lizard brain. But we can habituate ourselves to live in the prefrontal cortex. That's where creativity is. That's where transformation is. That's where all the things that feel really fun about a human life that's in the midst of change is possible.
Thank you, with absolute love. So one of the things, so I have a couple of scriptures. One is from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 10. Overcome fear by the power of wisdom and meditation. Take refuge and be absorbed in the divine. And so for each of us, wisdom is required. Discernment is always required. And so this is what you're saying, like up until the very last moment that you leave the body, if you're here, you get to keep seeing clearly. And you get to be vigilant, and you get to ask the light within you to help you see clearly, and then to choose what is honorable and noble and righteous and true and just and of good report, and to energize that which you would love to help create. Take refuge and be absorbed in the divine. And so this idea of taking refuge and being absorbed in the divine dwells in your heart. Whatever you name as your spiritual ideal, and I know people have different names that they give to the divine. Some people call it pure awareness or pure love, kindness. Some people connect with the Buddha or Krishna or Kuan Yin or Jesus or Mary. Whoever you connect with, however you name the divine, that dwells in your heart. And so this teaching is telling all of us, take refuge, be absorbed in the divine, in your heart. And what happens then is gradually we become seated in our own heart. We become established in our own heart. We become aware that there's not a moment of separation. The divine is with and within all of us everywhere that we are, no matter what it is that we're going through. And so then, no matter what it is that we are navigating in time and space, we have awareness of peace. And so the other story that came to me was, this is from Mark chapter 4, verse 39, but Jesus and his students are in a boat, and the winds come up, and the students become terrified, and they wake up their teacher, and they say, "What are you doing, sleeping through the storm?" And he says, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And so this is what is possible and available to each of us as we master our own thought patterns, as we master our own patterns of feeling. It becomes possible for each of us to live in calm. That's what the Yoga Sutras are saying, Acharya Kashi quoted earlier. When the fluctuations of consciousness subside, this is what remains: peace, stillness, our true nature. And from the yogic perspective, this is not only possible for every human, but this is actually what's true for every human. So we're just letting go of the illusion, and we're coming back into contact with what's real. Someone told me a true story this week. When he was in his 20s, he had started his business. He was working impossible hours, as we can do. We all know this. And he was eating a lot of pizza, drinking a lot of soda. He had a checkup with his doctor, and his daughter had just been born, and his doctor said to him, "You're not going to be here when your daughter graduates from high school if you keep doing what you're doing." And he sort of took a deep breath, and over the next 6 months, he lost 135 pounds, which is a really dramatic transformation, and he kept it off, like, since then. And so, from my perspective, love did that. So love is the rocket fuel that allows you to face anything that you get to face within yourself, that you get to transform within yourself. And also, remember, it's not ever really about anyone or anything else. It's always reflecting to you something about yourself. And so whatever it is that you seem to be transforming in a relationship or in what you're seeing in the world, it's always giving you some indicator, pointing back. When you gain clarity and peace in relation to yourself, there's no fear in terms of anything that you observe with any other person or with anything that's happening on the planet. And so just connect with that love, connect with that rocket fuel, and it fuels lifelong, life-changing transformation.
Thank you, Swami. And our last question for this topic is, what feels better than fear? Why don't you start with that, Swami, because you kind of started with it.
Sure. So Swami Nityananda says two things. Perfection is that which remains when we let go of all fear. Does that not just melt your heart? Just let go of fear, and what you have left is perfection. So the yogis say, and this is the truth, that if we're willing to place all of our perceptions, all of our thoughts, all of our concepts, all of our judgments at the feet of the divine, and we're willing to open to divine grace, what we become aware of is there is a subtle, shining, flawless wholeness underlying all of existence. Pure source energy underlies everything that we have ever experienced. So keep going deeper, no matter what the experience has been, until you're in contact with divine grace, until you're in contact with way down there at the bottom of everything. Divine love and support are deeper than anything, deeper than any pain, deeper than any fear. Keep going deeper, and just work with yourself so much that you place all thoughts, all feelings, all perceptions, all judgments at the feet of the divine, open to divine grace, and invite divine grace to help you see the shining, subtle, flawless wholeness, the perfection that is already here. Swami Nityananda says this, and I've started to allude to this already. Anything we fear simply means we don't understand that it's part of us. Once we see it as part of us, we no longer fear it. Why would you fear yourself or any aspect of yourself? And what happens then? You heard me putting this in words earlier. Love is very strong. Love is not weak. So when you are in contact with fearless love, you are commander of yourself. And you are able to quell anything in yourself that is not noble. And then there's no fear in relation to anything you observe. You see other humans doing things that are not noble, You are in command of yourself. That does not disturb you. Discernment always is required. Remember that as well. Vigilance always is required as long as we're in the body, as long as we are thinking thoughts. Choose purity of heart. Choose purity of consciousness. Choose purity of conduct. Grace will make it so through you as you keep choosing it. And you will not be frightened by any human ignorance, by any human confusion, by any human misery, by any human hatred, by any human miasma. Swami Nityananda used this phrase, which I quoted last week, maelstrom of misery. And so you can feel it. It's like a whirlwind of misery, right? And don't get sucked into it. It's a choice that each of us makes. And where I place my attention really matters. And so I'll share just a couple of things from neuroscience. Where I place my attention shapes neural structure. That is what neuroplasticity is. And so attention is how I build neural structure. What this means is, if I want to activate happiness and love and peace and ease and connection in my brain, which is going to affect how I feel in my body, it's going to affect my memory, my attention, my emotional regulation, my ability to focus, my ability to make decisions, my ability to follow through. It's going to affect my immune system and my sleep and my well-being. I am the one who is in charge of that. Each one of us is entirely, completely free and empowered, thought by thought, choice by choice. I can focus. And again, I want to be clear, I'm not telling anyone to be an ostrich. Know what's going on in the world. Be engaged, be thoughtful, contribute in beautiful, meaningful ways to what is true and what is real and what is honorable, what is noble and healing and good. And it is within my ability, within the ability of any human on the planet, where I place my attention, I can choose to create lasting happiness for myself. That's what yoga philosophy says. That's also what neuroscience says as well. And this is available to me. Again, 12 minutes a day, meditating or chanting. It has a measurable effect on my brain and on my chromosomes. 20 minutes of meditating a day, you're like this. So people who meditate 20 minutes a day have thicker cortical tissues. You strengthen your brain in the areas of the brain that help you make decisions and follow through, that help you be able to focus and be aware and have attention. You also strengthen the insula, the part of you that's aware of deep emotions and self-awareness. And you also strengthen a part of your brain called the sensory motor strip, which helps you be aware of your body and of sensations. So in meditators who meditate 20 to 40 minutes a day, those areas of the brain do not thin with age. In non-meditators, they thin with age. And so it behooves every human on the planet to start meditating. And meditating is absolute joy. It's easy, it's simple, it's accessible. If you sign up for the Yoga of Happiness course, which starts today, there's a 5-minute practice that is effervescent. It helps you connect with the energy of your heart, and it helps you connect with these benefits, which we are talking about right here.
Thank you, Swami. I'm not going to add anything to that.